So a story dropped this week that on the surface looks like good news. So apparently the King Charles, is reportedly considering offering Harry and Meghan Royal Lodge as a residence. The house that just became vacant when Prince Andrew was exiled, or was he? Or was he just simply just relocated to another luxury property? But anyway, let me carry on. So the house recently became vacant when Prince Andrew was moved to a less luxurious property at Wood Farm. And we know that he had to leave because of his arrest, or rather following his arrest for the Epstein scandal. And the offer from the king is being described as the ultimate olive branch. You see, there's a particular olive tree that has no branches left, because we get this every year. But anyway, I digress. And a lot of reporters are saying that it's a sign that the king wants unity, and it's a powerful message that the door is still open. And I read that, and my first thought wasn't how lovely. My first thought was, why now, if it's true? And why the urgency? And why is this suddenly happening? And let's be honest about the timeline here, because Harry and Meghan left in 2020. That is 6 years ago. And in those 6 years, the king, he was crowned as king following his mother's passing. And Harry came back for the coronation and they sat him in the third row. Great. Harry doesn't care. And then we've had brief visits, we've had legal battles, we've had documentaries, we've had memoirs, and we've had years of briefings against the Sussexes from palace sources, or palace insiders, or palace experts, or royal experts, etc., or friends of. Anyway, there's many of them. So we've had 6 years of stories that were designed to humiliate and diminish and isolate Harry and Meghan. And now, all of a sudden, the king wants to hand them a Windsor property and call it unity. What has changed? I don't think the story is true, and I'll tell you why. The story isn't true because, one, Frogmore Cottage is still there. Harry and Meghan paid 2.4 million towards its renovation, and we've not been told whether they gave them their money back. So if Frogmore Cottage is still there unoccupied, why not simply give them back their own home that you took for them? Why not simply give them back their security? But again, the press have to make stuff up for it to sound salacious and dramatic by claiming Andrew's old property, that I understand is very much in need of updating and maybe riddled with asbestos. You want to hand that to them? I call bullcrap on that story. But let us think about what we actually know about the king's health. He was diagnosed with cancer in 2024, and the palace has been very careful and very selective about what information they release about his condition. We know that he's been in treatment. We know that his schedule has been managed very carefully. And we know that there have been periods where he stepped back significantly from public duties. However, he still manages to do 533 engagements a year, while his healthy, much younger son and heir does around 200, under half of what the king does. But let's go on. And we know that the one person who has consistently spoken about wanting a relationship with his father, wanting reconciliation, and wanting his children to know their grandfather is Harry. Not the other brother, but Harry. So when a source says that the king wants to let go of past tensions and is ready to move on, the question worth asking is whether this is a king who has all the time in the world to repair things gradually, or a man who is becoming increasingly aware that time may be shorter than anyone is publicly admitting. So there's that as well. So is it because he knows something might happen over the next few years, next few months, so he wants to reach out to reconcile? I don't know. Because even the offer itself has masses of problems. Because one source actually quoted in the story points out that moving Harry and Meghan into Prince Andrew's old home ties them to a property that becomes synonymous with scandal. And I know Harry and Meghan will not even accept such a stupid offer anyway, because it's a ridiculous offer. And Royal Lodge, according to what people are saying, is very expensive to maintain. And it, like I said earlier, it has a lot of repairs, very significant repairs, according to that press report. So it's not exactly a welcoming gesture to hand someone a problematic property associated with your disgraced brother as a symbol of love and unity. Plus, like I said earlier, they have their own home, Frogmore Cottage, that you took from them. So to me, this is feeling like, it's feeling less like an olive branch, but more like a transaction. Here's a complicated house with a difficult history. Please come back and take it up quickly. No, I do not think so. Have you seen their property in Montecito? Have you seen how incredible it looks? Have you seen the mountain views? Have you seen the ocean views? No, thank you very much. And Harry and Meghan, they have built an incredible life in Montecito. They have children who are settled in California. They have businesses and foundations and a community. So the idea that they would uproot themselves to then go into a scandal-ridden home on the Windsor estate is never going to be a straightforward yes. And here is what I keep coming back to. Harry has said repeatedly that he loves his dad. He wants his children to know their grandfather, and the door on his side has always been open. The question is the king finally reaching out because he genuinely wants a reconciliation, or is it because the medical picture doesn't look too rosy? Or is it because he's thinking of his legacy and he's thinking, well, if something happens to me tomorrow, I'm going to be known as a petty king, as the father who couldn't reconcile with his son, and the father who did not make sure that his two sons reconciled with each other. And sometimes you need to look at the timing of an olive branch, because that tells you more than the so-called olive branch itself. And for me, the timing of all this nonsense is telling. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, please. My name's Elizabeth. I'm the author of The Luxpreneur. I've been asked to pronounce it, not preneur, but Luxpreneur. And for more insights like these, please like, share, comment, and follow me. And to support my work in holding truth to power, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/Elizabeth Solaru and buy me the biggest cup of coffee that you can for this tea, yes, or you can simply pick up a copy of my book, The Luxpreneur, from Amazon, Waterstones, and Barnes and Noble.